Good afternoon, and welcome to another transparent version of Diatribes from the Voice of Doom. Now here's your translucent and transcendent host, Voice of Doom. That was the sound of an unidentified flying object crashing to the ground and being lost. I put off doing this diatribe until the very last minute, so it'll be just snippets and snappets of snaffoolery and skullduggery without any real cohesive theme. Probably going to title it Breaking Point because I think people are reaching it. And I'm not talking about your common clay because they have no idea what's going on. Everything's fine. But to people that keep up on current events, they're realizing we're getting close. Very, very close. And that includes parts of the MSM. Now, I'll just give you a few little things that have nothing to do with each other. Vis-a-vis the Super Bowl. Now, since I have no cable and I have no real broadcasting apparatus, such as a television, which I do have screens, they just don't have anything on them, unless I call them from the computer. I get most of my information from the YouTube. And one thing I like about YouTube is that immediately after a quarter or a half of a football game is over, you can look up the highlights and watch it. And so I watched the Super Bowl on Sunday night at around 7 p.m. Pacific time and watched the whole game in 25 minutes. I didn't watch any commercials. I didn't watch a halftime extravaganza. I didn't watch any timeouts or official timeouts or penalty timeouts. I just watched play after play until the game was done, and it was a good game. Now, I know there are football aficionados who realize that this will be the last game of the season, so they don't mind if it takes 3.5 hours to watch because it stretches out their enjoyment. I am not one of those people. I enjoy watching a football game, but I'm not a fanatic about it, and I would rather watch it all in 25 minutes. It's much better. And the halftime shows have been getting worse and worse every year. The more lights and explosions they have, the worse the entertainment is. And of course the entertainment has to be politically correct, so we can't have anybody that's not a gangster on the screen. I won't say more about that. That's just how I like to watch the game. So I get it about a half hour after everybody else. Big deal. Another belt that I forgot to talk about. But today's Valentine's Day, and I did a little digging into my library, give you a little info. People, it's boring, but we'll talk about it. Saint Valentine was a priest in the early days of the Christian Church during the Roman era, probably the 1st century, and he has a feast day in the Catholic calendar on February 14th. Now, his connection with love is not clear, but let's just say that the emperor didn't really care for his Christian thought, and he was basically arrested, but he was a nice guy, and the emperor wasn't the worst person in the world, and he kind of liked him. And so he had him banished to a guardhouse from one of those prefects or whatever they were, some Roman person. And Valentine said to the guy, you should turn away from your pagan thoughts and idolizing these gods and turn to the one true God. And the prefect said, okay, my daughter is blind, if you can restore her sight, I will believe. And which is the want of the saints in the early Christian church. They prayed and the eyesight was restored to the girl. And the prefect became a Christian, and that didn't stop the powers that be from wanting Valentine's head. And they got his head against the better judgment of the emperor, who really didn't want him killed, didn't see any reason to, but he was under pressure from the powers that be. So even being an emperor was precarious back in those days, and they had to follow the dictates of other people. So Valentine was martyred. He was beheaded. Now, how his name got involved with the Day of Love is just by association. His feast day was on February 14th. February 14th is a day that certain birds have a mating ritual. That is one theory. Another theory is that there was a pagan ritual in mid-February where people chose their mates, and they had a bacchanalian festival, which we can only imagine how fun it must have been. And that's how Valentine got associated with love, and we have what we have now. I'm not into any of this. I hate holidays in general, but I especially hate these ones made out of whole cloth in order for chocolate companies to make money. And it's a horrible day for restaurants, which I'm going to have to leave for work in a few minutes, and it's the second busiest day of the year after Mother's Day. And I'm going to get through it. I always look forward to chaos. I always look forward to anarchy in a restaurant. So when things go reasonably smoothly, I'm pleasantly surprised. And one good thing about Valentine's Day in restaurants is mostly couples. And we book the whole restaurant a week in advance, so we know what we have coming. And we can only get so many people in a 4.5 hour period, so it's rather set in stone. The only person that is going to have it hard is me, because all the leftover people that decide to walk into a restaurant on Valentine's Day without reservations will sit at the bar to eat. So my bar will be covered with people eating food, and I'm going to be very busy. But I'll make a little bit of money, and I'm not going to blow it at the casino because I have bills to pay. So enough about that. I've gone all this time without saying anything. Breaking point. Okay. They're shooting things out of the sky. They don't know what they are. That should give people pause to wonder what the hell's going on. Now, they retrieved the Chinese spy balloon, and they've realized that there's plenty of sensors on there that were transmitting information back to the People's Republic. So we know all about that, but we don't know anything about these other 3 or 4 objects that have been shot down over barren wastelands or over large bodies of waters. And they don't want to tell us anything. The most transparent administration in human history doesn't want to say anything about anything. And people are getting a little miffed, and you can feel it. You can feel it in the air. Petri dish doesn't want to say anything, because every time you ask Petri dish something, it's like he's either not at fault or you're not seeing what you're seeing. So he's an utter failure through and through in every shape, way, and form. His entire existence is a failure. if he was Japanese, the path would be clear of what he should do, and I would be his second. But we don't do that in what used to be the United States, so we'll just let this guy keep on pushing us toward the abyss until he is ousted. And they're already talking about 24. Who's going to run in 24? And I keep on trying to say that if we have an election in 24, we'll be very lucky. Because I think if we have an election, it'll be through throwing pieces of paper that we find in the debris into a hat and deciding who's going to run the pit that people are occupying. Because there's going to be a worldwide conflagration, and I get really tired of people talking about Nikki Haley has thrown her hat in the ring. Well, big deal. Who cares about elections? It's getting ridiculous. We're on our way toward mass destruction. And, you have people talk about things that I've already talked about. Oh, this is a distraction. These flying objects are just a distraction to keep us from noticing that we're about to go to war with China, or we're about to do this, or Russia's about to do that. Yeah, maybe it's a distraction. Okay. It probably is. But that doesn't take away from the fact these things are happening. You cannot hide reality. Eventually it's going to show up. It's going to show its face. And so I am looking forward to February and March, because that's usually when bad things happen. If you look at 2020, it was between late February and mid-March that we had the clampdown. And every year it seems like when springtime comes around, bad things happen. So we're reaching a breaking point. I wish things would happen bad and not just little distractions like mass shootings, which happen all the time. They come and go. Doesn't matter that somebody went on Michigan State's campus and shot a bunch of people. He shot himself, so we'll put that to bed. Move on to something else. What is it with these mass shooters that they kill indiscriminately and then kill themselves? Why are they doing that? Maybe people could look into that. I have my theories. And I have a lot of conspiracy theories, and if there is time left on this planet, I will do a series of diatribes on the various conspiracy theories which have promulgated our society through the years. And that will take up a lot of time, but let's just say there may be people out there that are not acting of their own volition, but are acting under the influence of some other thing, God knows what it could be, and causing a ruckus, causing a distraction when other people want other things to be unnoticed. So I said nothing this time. I just did a quick diatribe just to get something out there today. And I have nothing salient to say about anything except people should think about reaching the breaking point. I've reached mine. And I hope that something really obvious happens real soon. Oh yeah, I was going to mention these things that are coming to light in the mainstream where they're going, wait a minute now, why are there so many train derailments going on? And this one train derailment was pretty much ignored, and it was an environmental disaster. And now they're telling people, oh, you can go back to your home even though all the animals, fish and frogs and birds are all dead, but go back home, it's all safe now. I don't know if I believe you. I've already talked about food processing plants being burned and power plants being sabotaged. But everybody on the mainstream is starting to get wind of this. They're starting to actually report it and go, what the hell's going on here? We have avian flu and now they're burning down egg farms. So people better start thinking about these kind of things, because when the shelves start going bare, there's going to be a mass rush of hoarding, and then they'll be even barer and then we will go into hoping that the trucks come with the care packages so that we can survive another week. So I'll leave you with that cheery thought on a happy Valentine's Day, and I hope everybody gets what they want on Valentine's Day, whether it be chocolate or some other thing. So that's it. I didn't say anything, sorry, but I needed to do a diatribe before work. So I'll leave it there and enjoy the day.